All right, we're here with Professor Peter Brown, and he was showing me this book he had read, Babel No More by Michael Erard. So can you tell me a little bit more about this book? What?
It's a book about hyperpolyglots, and we could say sort of the pursuit of hyperpolyglots. Michael Erard is engaging himself in this sort of this search, we could say, or this investigation of sorts, where he goes out and finds out if there really have been hyperpolyglots, and if there still are hyperpolyglots in the world, and if so, what is their secret. And I think he always maintains a certain amount of healthy skepticism. He doesn't accept everything at face value. He's always willing to question the supposed evidence, which is another thing which makes a book interesting.
Okay.
But also it's very well written. It's written in a very lively style. So
Well, do you think the author's conclusions are valid?
yeah, I think they're valid. He doesn't come to too many concrete conclusions, but he does come to the conclusion that hyperpolyglots do exist. That there are such individuals out there, and there's nothing miraculous about a hyperpolyglot. He shows that they do have methods. This famous Italian hyperpolyglot, Mezzofanti, used very commonplace methods. He used flashcards, and I also use flashcards quite frequently. So that's, I don't know why some people have so many doubts about hyperpolyglots. I don't have doubts about people who are very, very good at math and can do exceptionally involved mathematical, can work out exceptionally difficult mathematical problems in their head. And I've known people like that. I don't understand why a hyperpolyglot would be more strange or miraculous than these individuals. But his other conclusion is that it has to do with the brain, that maybe hyperpolyglots and polyglots in general have a slightly different brain chemistry, or maybe certain areas of their brain are more developed than other people's, perhaps. And he looks for a genetic. He looks at the idea that there might be a genetic basis for this, which it seems plausible. Apparently there's genes that make some people good at music and so forth and so forth. So that seems plausible. But he doesn't come to too many concrete conclusions, and he doesn't come into any conclusion as to what it really means to know a language. That's kind of left up in the air. There's different opinions out there. Well, what does it really mean to know a language? I think personally, in this country at least, there's too much emphasis on oral skill. And if you apply that principle rigorously, people that speak in sign language aren't even using language, because they're not producing anything orally. So, what validity does their communication have? They're obviously people carrying on involved conversations in sign language for hours. So are we going to deny that they have a language because it's not oral? I mean, come on. So I think people need to recognize that there's different forms of language and different forms of communication which are equally valid. Let's not limit it to oral production. If someone can write, let's say, in beautiful Latin, but they can't speak the language, I think they still have a right to say they know Latin. But anyway, it's a very well-written book, and it deserves the attention that's been getting recently, I think.
All right. Well, that concludes our interview on Babel No More. You can find it at your local library. Again, it's my Michael Erard.
Yeah.